Hello, everybody. This is going to be my first Splatoon commentary, and I'm going to be talking about the recent announcement, or not announcement, leak from Midoriya about Splatoon 4. It exists, and I really want to talk about my theory about the game and what I think it's going to be like, because S3 is a very controversial game. I personally enjoy it, but many people dislike it, and they're sort of, being like they're awaiting Splatoon 4 to happen, and like yeah, so I kind of just wanted to talk about my thoughts about the game and what I think is going to happen. So essentially, my theory is Splatoon 3 is the conclusion of the first trilogy of games. So they're gonna deviate heavily from the story at a minimum. Like the story itself is gonna be completely new. We're gonna be in a completely new area. There's gonna be like no returning or minimal amounts of returning characters if there are gonna be any. And we're sort of gonna, start anew, be completely fresh when we go to the Switch 2 and like we're exiting the Wii U and Switch era of Splatoon. And I really think they're going to heavily change the gameplay. Now, hear me out. Recently, Nintendo just dropped a deal for Splatoon 3 that basically it's like a sale on Splatoon 3, and they made it a promo where if you buy the game, you get, with plus the DLC, you get like 3 months free of NSO. And that conveniently lines up with the end of the season. And when we sort of look at when it ends, we find that in like around mid-August you have like the 16th, I'd say. That's like around the week like I'd expect a Splatfest to happen, because in June, like this month, we have the big run, which is going to happen as of recording tomorrow on the 7th until the Sunday, which is like the 10th, I believe, or no, 8th, 9th. And then I'm assuming the week after that, if we do get a Splatfest, we are going to have it sometime in the next couple of weeks. But if we don't, then it's going to be in June. So the Splatfest should happen around that time, or the final, like a Splatfest should happen around that time. And since the season seems like the conclusion and they sort of teased it at the very start of the season, I think it's safe to say that they are going to have the Final Fest this season. And my theory is that it's going to happen from the 16th to the 21st. And you might ask, why is it 5 days? Well, there's a leaks and a whole can of worms that I really don't want to bring up. But basically what's going to happen is that the fest is going to be weeks long, and like 5 days long, which is pretty long. And there's going to be like a big one in between, and there's going to be an entirely new plaza and everything. So that's going to be very interesting, and when the Nintendo Direct happens, I expect them to announce something related to that. So based off this leak, and based off what we saw in the trailer, which was a bunch of gear from the idols or stuff from the idols, we can assume that the Final Fest is going to be an Idol Fest. Because of that, we know that it won't really have an impact on the next game's story. And that is something interesting to me, because that really implies that they really want to start anew and be completely fresh without any sort of constraints at all. Like they really, really want to just start anew on the new console with new hardware and everything. And like this leak coming out this time really like emboldens that, because it kind of shows that they're finishing Splatoon 3 development, like at least content-wise. And because they finished it, they're probably all hands on deck on Splatoon 4 at this point, because I also have a theory that the dev teams have been fully split as of now, because with Side Order we saw that there were 2 more new directors that never worked on Splatoon before, who are actually we're directing Side Order, and that sort of shows to me that they are really trying to expand the team, because like they have Animal Crossing and Splatoon, which are they're like 2 massive live service games that Nintendo has, and like you can't really make both at the same time without like heavily sacrificing quality. And I feel like they just sort of want to hit the restart button and kind of really start anew with a completely fresh slate with Splatoon 4, where there's going to be like, I feel like they're going to keep the fundamental gameplay and movement that they had in previous games, but they're going to heavily switch up all the other aspects of the game, such as game modes, weapons. I'm pretty sure they're going to cut the roster heavily and sort of minimize it, and then add a lot more new weapons with entirely new mechanics. They're also probably going to add like entirely new gameplay mechanics to the game that like completely change the way the game functions at a core level. And I feel like they are going to increase player counts. I see that happening, and that means larger maps and sort of I see them really taking a larger step with Splatoon 4 compared to previous games in the franchise, because with Splatoon 1 to 2 and then 2 to 3 it was very like granular change over when comparing to like many other Nintendo franchises where like there's massive differences between games, like excluding the sequels. And I really want to see Splatoon take that next step, because I enjoy 3 and I really think it's a good game for what it heavily refined this current sort of format of Splatoon, in my opinion, excluding some like faults. But like fundamentally, once the game's done with content, it's going to be, in my opinion, one of the better Splatoon games. Like for me, Splatoon 1 and 3 are sort of tied, because there's like aspects of each game that really piss me off, but like it's sort of an even 50-50 of like things that piss me off slash things I enjoy. And Splatoon 2 is my least favorite personally. It's not a bad game. I enjoyed playing it. Like, I really enjoyed it personally, but I still have issues with it that are like, and like there are way more fundamental issues in S2, but that's for a different video where I'll do a comparison at the very end of Splatoon 3, like update cycle when it's 100% confirmed. And another thing I wanted to sort of talk about is like the new system itself, and like it coming out next year, on Splatoon's 10th anniversary being next year. I see them like really trying to get Splatoon 4 like fully complete by the end of 2025, and sort of have it ready for release by year 2 of the Switch too, because they really want a new game on the new console. Like I feel like that's what they really want to do, to like sort of keep Splatoon pushing. And like another aspect about like the 10th anniversary, I feel like that's also really important to take account of, because I see them making a spin-off for Splatoon. I don't know when they're gonna do it. It might be next year. I see them doing it next year, or they're probably gonna drop the new game next year. So it's probably, Splatoon 4 is probably going to be a little bit rushed, but it's going to be a heavy refinement, because even though the leak for the Splatoon 4 like just came out now, I have a feeling they've been working on it for a while. And Splatoon 3 was sort of a transition game, and because of all the sort of like conclusion, like the Splatoon 3 feels like a heavy conclusion, because Return of the Mammalians concluded the Grizz storyline, the Squid Sisters, and sort of like, yeah, just the Squid Sisters, Salmonids, and the whole shebang. And then we have Side Order, completely self-contained story, which I feel a lot of people didn't like, because they didn't open like that many sort of like opportunities to theorize, because it was very self-contained and sort of served as a way to conclude all the Octo expansion storylines, which I feel like it did really well. And I really liked the gameplay. The gameplay was really enjoyable, but that's some other topic that I don't want to delve into. So basically, and like with a lot of the content in S3, sort of taking a lot from previous games and bringing it to Splatoon 3, and along with Splatfest, I'm just going to talk about the data mine at this point. I kind of put it off earlier in the video, but if you don't want to be spoiled, I'll explain my theory for it. So we know that the Splatfest is going to be 5 days. And in between, there's going to be a big run announcement. So I'm assuming, and like there's going to be an entirely new plaza type area where like it's assumed to be in the crater where we sort of party and all that stuff, and have the Splatfest there with all like 3 idol groups together. And there's a big run in the middle. So, and my theory is that'll happen in Splatville, and essentially it's going to be that whole like 7 rings thing that they like had in the Splatoon 2 scrolls about the Salmonids, and they won't really want to finish the Salmonid storyline at this point. And at that point, they've really closed a lot of the loose ends that's in Splatoon, like us lore-wise, because they did Humanity's finale and Return of the Mammalians as well. So yeah, like Splatoon 3 is very conclusion-heavy and sort of like getting their final ideas out the way for like this current era of Splatoon before they really heavily innovate with 4 and beyond. And that's like the main vibe I just get from like this whole transition to Switch 2. They really want to like sort of shake up the formula going in like with the 10th anniversary, because we have 10 years of this like same gameplay, which is extremely good, I'd say, but I'd say it's kind of getting mundane. I really want them to make some more fundamental changes, which I feel like what's going to happen with Splatoon 4. Anyways, thank you for listening to me rant about Splatoon and the whole Midori leak. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and have a good rest of your days. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and look out for more. I'll also be posting some gameplays throughout, but we will see. Have a good day, guys.